Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Friday Night Live with Christopher Rausch and Scott Goyette, the place where we come and we ask the tough questions about what's going on in life. Here to inspire you, here to educate you, here to entertain you every Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as always, we have a fantastic show set up for you this evening. And unfortunately, Mr. Scott Goyette will not be in attendance tonight. He has other things to do this evening that are much more important. And we wish Scott the best in his journey this weekend and what he's doing. So it'll be me, Christopher Rausch, your solo host tonight, along with my two very special guests. But before we get started, I just want to bring to your attention. What was I going to bring to your attention? I was going to bring something to your attention. So tonight's episode is a very serious subject that we want to talk about. We want to bring to discussion to the table. So if you're watching this live or you're watching this on the replay, we certainly invite your comments and your questions for this particular topic, because at the time of this taping, we are in the middle of COVID. And here in the United States, I know we have watchers all over or viewers all over the world, but here in the United States, especially, we're going through a lot of different tumultuous things. We've got the political process that's going on. Our election is going on, which if you've been watching television all over the world, I talk to my friends all over the world, you can imagine what's going on with that. And then we've got the COVID situation that is not improving, and it's causing a lot of deaths and a lot of uncertainty. We've got the situation that's people have lost their jobs. They're potentially going to lose their homes. We got a lot of stress going on in the world, right? We got a lot of people that are on edge, including myself, including people that I know. And it's just a very tumultuous time. And we thought it'd be the best time for us to talk about mental health and also highlight the fact that it is Suicide Awareness Month or Suicide Prevention Month. So just in the vein of making sure that you guys have the tools that you need in order to keep going and be unstoppable and have that confidence that to get through every single day. It's my honor to be able to present to you and introduce Mr. Shane Schulz, the CEO and founder of the Speaking to the Heart podcast network and now the radio network, and also Jacque Ecuyer. I screwed it up. Jacque
Ecuyer. You were close.
Ecuyer. I had it like in my head perfectly. Ecuyer. We have Jacque Ecuyer here as well. Just to chop into the conversation about, what's going on in the world today and how we can actually help one another by the experiences that we've gone through, help you guys and help ourselves as well through this tumultuous time. So good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. How are you guys doing this evening?
I've gone through a lot of different things over the past couple of weeks, but I've also been busy. So it's been an up and down type of thing. And I think Jacque can attest to that as well, probably.
Oh, Shane, you know me, following me, I never stop. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. There's something always going on with me. Just get out in the community, keep my mind busy, keep my body busy, just keep active. And as Chris alluded to, with everything that's going on in the world, it's just nice to have something going on to keep you necessary and keep you current with everything that's going on in life right now.
Yeah. Awesome. We appreciate you guys both being here tonight. And we've got some of our usual suspects here. We got Bridget here. Good evening. Good night.
Hey,
hello. Welcome being here. Larry Schneider. What's up? Kick-ass Larry. We always appreciate you. Kangen Water. Yes. Shared and live. Thank you very much. Then Larry says opportunity time. Oh, Jean-Guy from up in Canada. Hello. Looking good, gentlemen. Yeah. Hello. We got two Frenchies. Yeah, look at this. Awesome. So since I don't know much about you, Jacque, can you just give us a little bit of background on yourself and what brings you to the table today? I know that you're doing some work with Shane in our network, but just a little background information on you would be great.
Shane, who's Shane? Oh, Shane. No, I'm just joking. I try to lighten up.
We call each other other names. Trust me.
This is a free-for-all conversation, guys. This is everything goes.
Just basically in a nutshell, my synopsis is I like to say that I've lived through the mental health minefield all the way from being bullied as a child, surviving addiction, depression, multiple suicide attempts, coming out of that to form my own nonprofit organization, which focuses on combating mental health issues on multiple levels here in upstate New York. So we like to call it the Rising from the Ashes story. It's a good way to get it out there and show people that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And if you just seek the support you need, you can come back from anything.
Wow. That's pretty tremendous. So multiple suicide attempts. Talk to us a little bit about that and what got you through those situations.
Well, it's funny because Shane and I were discussing this the other day, and I told him that my now wife, stopped both attempts. And thank God for her, because without her, I wouldn't be here. My foundation wouldn't be here. And I'm thankful for her each and every day that she was there at the moment I needed her the most. But on the same token, it still upsets me that I put her through that, and her not truly understanding what I was going through at the time. So,
wow. So she was there. So are you still married with her?
Yeah, we've been together 15 years. So actually the first attempt, quickly, I won't get into too much of the details, but the first attempt was about 5 months into us dating. So, I mean, she could have just walked away and said, listen, this guy's a nut job. I don't know what the hell's going on. And I did tell Shane, again, not getting into too many details, that it was a very aggressive attempt. I tried to slit my own throat. And she actually came out barreling out of the house. Didn't even know what was going on because I didn't, there was no warning signs. I just grabbed a knife, went out on the porch of my deck, and went to attempt. And she came out with both hands, grabbed my wrist, and sort of talked me down for about 10 to 12 minutes, so she was able to finally free the knife from my hand.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I like starting shows off with a bang because, I mean, this is a very serious subject, and I know that people are out there are struggling. So thank you for sharing that. And I know, Shane, you've had situations in your past where you've helped other people go through those situations. You've had your situations. Talk to us a little bit about your background story and mental health and with suicide prevention and awareness. And then we'll jump into the conversation.
Well, first of all, thanks for, providing the platform in order to be able to talk about this, because it's something that, I have been talking about for a long time now, whether it be for my own benefit as, for my own health, or whether it be to help others. My first situation was, I dealt with clinical depression since my single digit years. I hated the way that I looked. I hated the way that I felt. I hated the way that I thought about things. It just so happens that now I make a living off of my looks, my voice, and the way that I think and feel about things. So it's come full circle in a way, but the reality is that it was hard. It was really tough. It was really, really tough. My first suicidal situation was when I was 8 years old. If it wasn't for my grandfather, yelling up the stairs, "Hey, Shane, come on down for ice cream sodas," we could have had a totally different situation. I had a revolver that was pointed at my chest at the time. And when I was 8, I literally said, all I have to do is pull this trigger and it's finally over. And some may question me, that, well, at age 8, why would you be like that? And like I said, I really did have a tough time with who I was. I had a tough time with the thoughts and the feelings that I was going through. I had a tough time with the way that, I could not effectively be able to communicate. I mean, how many 8-year-olds do are able to effectively communicate that they are feeling as if like taking their own life is not only an option, but it feels like the only answer. And, so that was a really tough time. Now, my grandfather stopped me at that time. He did not even know. He just yelled up the stairs, right? So I put the revolver down and I put it into the drawer and I slid the drawer in, and that was it. But my grandfather wasn't there all the time, right? So, it was when I was 11 years old when I actually had my first suicidal attempt, where I had ate a whole bottle of aspirin. And, it was because of there was a trigger, but it was the same thing. That's something that we need to talk about, because a lot of people really kind of get hung up on what the triggers are, but they're not really talking about what the real problem is. Right. And, so they kind of like atone to everything being the trigger, when the reality is that they're dealing with some stuff, and they're dealing with it on a 24/7 basis. And this is very common, especially in men. And, this particular show here, as you can see, we got 3 guys here who know how to, handle themselves. We got 3 guys here who have a wealth of knowledge in a lot of different areas, but at the same time, we also have 3 guys here who had some challenges in life. And, so this happens to be one of the challenges that was mine. I dealt with mental health, I'm going to be 50 years old in February. I could really easily say that I've dealt with mental health for easily 40 plus years. And that includes addiction, which a lot of people try to like separate the two. But the reality is that there is a mental health diagnosis when it comes to addiction. So, that's something that, maybe for another show, but, it's something that is also, involved in this whole scenario.
No, beautifully put, both of you gentlemen. And thank you for being so transparent. We've already got people on here commenting about that. We'll get to those comments in just a second. I'll share my story. I mean, Jacque, you don't know me very well, or you don't know me at all. But I was basically homeless from the age of 13 to 17, out on the streets, living in backseat of a station wagon, digging through dumpsters, just a bunch of stuff. I mean, I got carjacked. I got a gun put to my head and almost got killed for not buying a carton of cigarettes because it was the wrong brand. And I was a white guy, all these different things. But there came a point, much like you had said, Shane, I struggled with depression and loneliness most of my life. I didn't have a father. My mother was always gone and doing other things. So I was a latchkey kid. I was the kid that was always by myself. And I was always the awkward kid, as much as I am cool now. And I'm the cool kid. I'm still the awkward kid. Let's be honest. I'm just an awkward kid that looks cool. But no, I was always lonely. And I had a few core friends, which funny enough, I'm still friends with them on Facebook to this day. I mean, I was only like, 5 or 6 or 7 years old. And there came a time when we were homeless and I was just like, I can't take this anymore. My mom's physical abuse, mental abuse, the fact that my sperm donor, I never knew who he was. My sister took off. Everybody abandoned me, really. And I was just at a point where I was like, okay, this situation is not improving and I just can't take this anymore. I actually got really super sick. I almost died. I always forget about this, but I actually was really super sick. I don't know what I had, but basically my body was shutting down and somehow I came back and I was okay. I never went to the doctor. I never went to the hospital, but somehow I came back because I know I'm supposed to be here. But there came a point where I was just really frustrated and I didn't know any better. And I, much like you, I took a half a bottle of Advil. And I was like, okay, this is the only thing around. And my mom was so pissed off afterwards. Let me tell you about that. But no, I took a half bottle of Advil. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this. And all it did was make me tired. I thought I was dying because I took it with pills and I took it with pot. And I'm like, all right. And I was just like, okay. And I fell asleep and I woke up and I didn't have a headache for like 2 years and it didn't work, obviously. So I talked about the multiple, but the real one happened when I was about 16 years old. I got really drunk. I got really stoned. And my mom was off playing semi-drug dealer in this motel we were staying in, this really super sleazy motel. She was playing drug dealer part of the time and informant to the cop the other part of the time. I was working 2 jobs. She was, oh, I can't work, all this craziness. I was trying to make friends there. I was 16 years old. I mean, your hormones are going. You want to be out. I want to be in school. I'm watching television. I get depressed watching all those 80s movies because I'm like The Breakfast Club. I'm like, man, I just want to go to school and get expelled. I just want to have something. So I got in the car and I was like, I'm going to show my mom. And I was dead set on it. I was like, I'm going to go slam her car because she loved her car, a 1969 station wagon of all things. And I got in it and I got on the freeway here in Southern California and I was looking for a brick wall. I was looking for some sort of device that I could just drive as fast as I could and smash into it because I figured, I'm not going to feel much. I'm just going to be game over. And someday, somewhere, or not someday, but somehow my mom's going to get a phone call saying your son just killed himself and drove, headlong into a brick building or something like that. And much to my surprise, I could drive pretty good, all smashed up. And I got on the freeway and I was hauling ass. I'm surprised I didn't get arrested. I'm surprised I made it. I drove, you guys aren't familiar with Southern California, but I literally probably drove about 30 miles in a circle back to the motel we were staying in. And I could not find a object to run into. Well, in retrospect, I was so high, I didn't want to die. I did, but I didn't. I just wanted to raise awareness like, hey, look at me. Can we focus on me for a second? Can we get out of here? Can I go back to school? Can I have a life now? Can you stop playing these fucking games? And it just got brutal. And I came back to the motel and I parked the car and I was like, it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be. And it was like, at that point, I just realized, okay, something bigger is going on here. And I think that's the first step in my life where I came up with the unstoppable thing. It's like, okay, we just got to figure it out. There were other times where I was definitely had the thoughts. I've had thoughts all throughout my life. Like some days just like, God, why bother? This is ridiculous. Not in the recent years, not since my son's been here, but so that's kind of my story is just, and then over the years, I've challenged myself with depression, with anxiety, with ADHD on crack, all these different things. And I've tried medications and they helped in a certain respect, but they also took away what makes me. And I'm sure you guys could both agree to that. I mean, I was on Wellbutrin, I was on Lexapro, I was on all these other things. I was like, and I got off all of them. I said, I can do this without these medications. I just have to focus and I just have to channel myself and hold myself accountable for all these different things. But it doesn't mean it's perfect. But I think the discussion today, definitely can help the fact that we share our stories and we're very strong men. And we're here now taking all that trash that we've been through and making it a treasure to be able to give back to other people and hopefully inspire all you guys out there and inspire us still, because still things are challenging. So I want to grab some of these comments real quick, because it's we love our guests, we love our viewers. What's up, Daniel Gomez? Good evening to see you here. Jean Guy, he actually, yes. This is a perfect opportunity for you to be here. We meet the most important people at the most opportune times. I met my fiance in the same circumstance when I needed someone the most. And John Gee runs a PTSD recovery website or recovery groups up in Canada. He's an amazing guy. He takes his situations too and helps pay it forward, as you well know, Shane.
Yeah, and, PTSD behind the smile, right?
Yeah, I was on one of his shows, and you're a great guy. So thank you for being here. Thanks to God, you were saved. You stay here with us today. Yes. Crystal, what's happening? Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for talking about suicide. We all need to be more supporting to people who have mental illness and are just having a shitty life. Been there. Yes. Thank you for as well. Pamela, what's up? Hi, Pamela. Good to see you. My other co-host for one of my other shows, and one of my dear friends. So grateful you're bringing attention to this topic. Yes. Wow, we got lots of comments. Wow, I think a lot of men went through similar stories, but less are talking about. Yeah, we could actually dig into that. We could talk a bit about the comfortability of people talking about it. We're also going to talk about men's mental health and how it is different from women's. So stay tuned for that. The existence of my son held me back. I believe it's about a spiritual problem. Ultimately, I think, and I want to get your guys' point on this because I think you identified it, Shane, is it's trying. We're also accustomed to dealing with symptoms. Like there's a symptom of something, but yet dealing with the root cause of something is really the most important thing. Talk to us guys about the root cause and the situations of mental illness and where they stem from, like the real root cause of what causes some of the mental illness situations that we have in our world today. Whoops.
Shane, what happened? Your mic's off.
Your mic. Turn your mic back on.
I had some kids running around here with motorcycles. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Go away.
Don't try to change the subject.
Anyways,
just drop the ball in the microphone, man. You can't just switch that up. You drop the ball.
No, when I drop the mic, you know it. But anyways, when I'm actually going to let Jacque go ahead and bring this up because it was really his idea to talk about mental health from a men's standpoint. Well, and we both talked about it, but the reality is that, he's been thinking about this a lot, and I think that he's got a good insight about it. So go ahead and start that.
Well, I think the old adage is that we have this alpha male complex in society today. We all know that we have to be, the big 300-pound bearded, burly, weightlifting guy who can't cry, can't show our emotions. I mean, that's been this ongoing problem for years. I don't know, whoever made that fucking rule up is a jackass. For you to sit there and tell us that we can't cry, that we're not allowed to show our feelings, that we are not allowed to have fears and dreams and aspirations just because we're men, I think that's bullshit. I think that we need to get out and have conversations such as what we're having right now in bigger groups and get men to open up and say, listen, it's okay to hug another man. It's okay to cry on another man's shoulders. It's okay to release all of that, because what happens is if we don't release that, in those types of formats, it ends up being almost a rage issue down the road. If we can keep it in, it comes out like a time bomb. And this is where your domestic violence issues and your child abuse issues and the other things that are going on as far as mental health, because we are so afraid that if we let that out, someone's going to judge us. And all of a sudden we're pussies, we're bitches, we're women, whatever, the case may be. Well, we need to shatter that stigma, and we need to start, having these support groups in these online formats that men can come and say, hey, listen, I'm Tom Smith from Arkansas. You know what? I've got a huge problem when my kids are misbehaving. I'm going through a divorce with my wife. I just lost my job. What the fuck can I do? I need help. Okay, this is what we can do to help you out. These are our stories. Chris could tell him one thing. Shane could tell him something. It may not work. My story may not work. Chris's might. Chris's might not work. Shane's might. But you know what? Between the three of us, or between a group of individuals, we can come together for our brothers and help give them the tools to get through any of these circumstances. And that's what is the most important thing when it comes to men's mental health, is coming together as a brotherhood and stop trying to stand alone and be the big dog on the porch, because nobody really gives a shit.
Beautifully said. And amen. I mean, full disclosure, transparency and vulnerability is not something that normally any of us are accustomed to, but that's one thing that and you know me, Shane, that's one thing I pride myself on ever since I dropped the suit and tie thing and stopped trying to pretend I was this motivational speaker and everything. I just wanted to be me, is that, I've always just been transparent. It's like, hey, here I am, warts and all. If you like it, dig it. I cry at movies. I cry when I get upset. It's okay. I wear a pink tie and still kick your ass. I cry, I get upset, I get sad. But yeah, that's one thing that I love about myself. is the fact that I'm not afraid to be transparent and help other people. But yeah, there's so many people that are like, they just want to be so strong and so stoic. And I know a few people like this, and I'm like, how are you doing? I mean, really, how are you doing? I want to listen. Oh, I'm fine. And I could feel like they're just pushing it down. I want to be strong. I want to be strong. This person thinks I'm strong. It's like, isn't part of the healing process just accepting who you are and being able to move forward with that and being honest? I mean, that's the first part of recovery, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's also a scary part, because it's a scary part not only for us as men, right? But it's a scary part for the public, because it's very awkward for the public. The public has a perception of what a male should be like while going through some challenges, right? They have a perception of what it is that this should be, this is the way that they should act. It's like, in fact, they would much rather see them be violent or acting out. They would much rather have them do that and not talk about it, because talking about it is more painful and more awkward to the public than what it is if we were to act out. They would much rather us act out and be, in those relationships that are not rewarding for us, but we stay in them because we feel that we're lucky to have them because of the way that we think and feel, right? Because of the way that we think and feel, we're sitting there and we're in a relationship that, that we stay in. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case in all aspects, but sometimes that's the case, because we don't want to be looked at as if we were weak, right, or that we were incapable of being able to make a difference and being able to make a difference. Forget about everybody in the public, being able to make a difference in our family, whether it be, our parents, our, brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters, whatever that is, our husbands, wives. That's something that people don't want to really deal with. And that's why it is that it's important to talk about these things. It's important to talk about, the aspect of what we're saying here. Vulnerability is important to talk about.
Yes,
it really is. Vulnerability is something that is often misperceived, right? It's misperceived to be weak. You want to know something? If you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you don't know how strong you really are.
Yes.
Because you're about ready to go through the ring, right? You're about ready to go through the ring with what really is painful to you, awkward to you, hard to deal with, hard to grip with, guilt-ridden, whatever that is. That vulnerability is, that's something that's really important. So, we need to stop the perception and we need to change the perception.
Yeah.
And, and Jacque does this really, really well. He does it well in the local community here. And I think that he can have some insight on it that kind of like piggybacks off of what I'm saying.
Yes. And Jean-Guy says exactly. You're hitting it on the head. Absolutely.
Jacque, you know what? I'll use the male-female relationship, but you ask a woman what's one of the sexiest traits in a man is. Ask them what it is. It's not going to be your looks. It's not going to look your muscles. Nope. It's not how much you can bench press in a gym. You know what? If you allow yourself to be vulnerable, and I don't care if it's a woman, your life partner, whatever facet you are in, I'm not judgmental, whatever relationship you're in, if you allow your partner into your world, it opens doors that you never even fathomed were even a part of your spectrum. Because if you let them in and just let them into your world and just let it all go. Let that guard down as a man and say, listen, this is how I feel about whatever it is. I will tell you something, the way that your partner looks at you, and my wife and I have done this, and we have discussions all the time, and it's one of the most enlightening things that I've ever, been through in my life, was to sit there and pour it out to her. And she just gave me a hug, and it was the best feeling in the world. You just let the release be part of your life. Just let it go. Let it go. And I love what Shane said as far as the, what society, pegs us to be. I don't know whoever came up with that whole concept of the alpha male thing. I just don't get it. I mean, you can protect and provide for your family and still be vulnerable. Yeah. I mean, I think what people, not to get on way in deep, but I think people don't understand is that every human being has masculine and feminine traits. And when I say that, people go, well, what the hell are you talking about? I'm a man. Yeah, but the feminine part, the nurturing, the deeper thinking part, that part, we have that part in us. We just don't allow that to come out. You know,
Right.
if you go up and give your son a kiss, on the cheek or the forehead, or you hug your son. I mean, I hug my sons. They're in their 20s. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks. They're my sons. They're still my little
Yep.
boys.
Yep.
And you know what? My one son has passed that on to his son. So my grandson, he comes up and he gives a hug to me and my wife, and he's very affectionate. And I love that about him. So that's and I said this to Shane the other day, we were talking, if we can teach our kids how to be negative, how to be, racist, how to be, we can teach them how to be positive and loving. It takes the same amount of time. Positivity is difficult because it takes work, and we are a lazy society. Let's be honest. Negativity is easy. It's all over the news. It's all over it's everything. COVID, Cuomo, Trump. I mean, you could just go down to the wildfires, Oregon, Black Lives Matter. Everything out there is negative. So it's harder for us to come up with something positive in our lives to think about, but you need to do that to adapt to this whole new world, is to pick those positives out and move forward with that. That's your starting point right there.
No, so eloquently said, Jacque. I mean, I really appreciate you guys saying that, because that vulnerability is like going back to that original question that I'd asked before, is about, the root cause of something. We often can't, if we're not willing to be honest with ourselves. And I talk to people all the time about this. It's like, you realize you're lying to yourself thinking you're going to get away with it. And I just pause and I'm like, think about that. You're lying to yourself thinking you're going to fool yourself in that's not a problem. Like you're saying, I mean, I love that. Yeah. I call it just puke it all out. I'm like this. If you can't be who you are with the people you love, then you should not be with those people, your friends or whatever. If your best friend can't tell you, hey, Chris, you're fucking up, you're being an idiot, then that's not your best friend. You need somebody who's going to sit there and say, hey, dude, I love you so much that I got to tell you something that's really going to probably hurt your feelings, but it's going to hopefully make you grow. Here's what's going on. And having that vulnerability, be able to say, hey, listen, I'm struggling right now. I feel scared. I feel helpless. I feel like I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm actually talking from the heart. When I think about what's going on in the world right now, I found out I'm very empathic. I knew I was empathic, but the weight of the world and feeling like people are going to be losing their houses and all this other stuff, it gives me absolute chills. I get anxious because all my life, I've always thought there was going to be some sort of huge event that was going to happen in my life. Not catastrophic, but I always knew there was going to be something happening. So yeah, I'm scared, I'm fearful, but at the same time, Shane, you know this, I talk about it all the time, is like being in the moments. But the true factor of what's going to get us healthier is to be honest with ourselves, and be honest with everybody else, because not only are you going to do that, you're going to help yourself, but by that admission, you're going to give permission to that other person to open up their thoughts and feelings. I mean, what is your guys' experience with that?
Go ahead, Shane. We've done some talking. Go ahead.
I honestly, when somebody starts talking and they're authentic, you can talk for hours. You know what I mean? I've done that with both of you. I've done that with both of you, and just like discussing some real shit, like real hard things. There have been times, I guarantee both of you, I had said something and you're like, uh-oh, where are we going with this? Like, like how do I handle this? Because I don't want to make it worse. Right. I want to support them, but I don't want to make it worse. I guarantee that I've said that. I said something, Jacque was talking about having a wife. I literally came out and said, how do you have a wife and deal with depression? How do you have a wife and deal with suicidality? Because I don't know anything about that. I've had relationships that have not worked. I've had relationships that just do not, and it's just not what it is that I want. It's like I want something that is going to be there. And it's like, and constantly, we were talking about like what women want. Here's one thing that women want, right? They say that they want the nice guy. They say that they want the funny guy. They say that they want the bad guy, or whatever the case may be. You want to know what they want? Security. You want to know what it is I can't give them? Security. I can't give them that. In the depression that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't matter whether I own the Speaking the Heart podcast network. It doesn't matter whether I launched the radio station, Phoenix Radio. It doesn't matter. I still deal with what I deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so when it comes to that security aspect, right? We don't know. It's like you just don't know. You don't know when that episode's going to come along. I was in New Orleans one time, and I was there to speak at a national mental health conference. There was a crime that was committed, and I ended up having a PTSD episode. I ended up being paralyzed for over an hour. Paralyzed. Like I could not move. The only thing that I could move was my fingertips and my head. That was it. Everything else wasn't moving. All right. So you talk about the fear of that going on, right? But before then, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I know that I'm going to have to hit this guy. If I'm going to fight this guy, I'm going to have to hit him and I'm going to have to knock him out. But I deal with chronic nerve pain. So I'm not altogether sure that I'm going to be able to do that. So what am I looking at? Okay, so now I'm looking at what's around me. There's an iron that's not too far away, and I could grab hold of that thing and I could punch the kid with an iron. I could do that. But what I chose to do is I barked him out. I kind of like diplomatically talked him out of the area. And when he left, it was like, okay. But in the meantime, everything locked up. Everything locked up. I'm laying there on the bed. I'm sitting there with my laptop on my lap, and the only thing I can do is that I can use my fingertips. Now, what kind of security is that going to give a woman, right? When they're in that type of situation? Probably not so much, right? Not only that, but then you have me who deals with suicidality. Look, this is not me touting anything. I can't tell you how many times that I made attempts to take my life. I don't know how many times. Furniture polish, hydrogen peroxide, carbon monoxide, hanging, had a revolver pointed at my chest. You were talking about driving, right? It's like, I wanted to hit a tree, right? Like you would not believe. Guess what? I hit the tree. It didn't kill me. Okay. So, and I've done those types of things. I've done a number of different things that were very lethal. And a lot of people will sit there, and we're talking about mental health here, right? A lot of people will sit there and they'll say, okay, well, if you've done it multiple times, you must not really mean to do it. You must really not mean to do it. You're kind of looking for attention. Guess what?
What do you say to
right?
that?
That's common, right?
I've had people comment on that. Like if somebody really wanted to do it, they would do it. And I've said that too. I mean, I've said it too. It's like, if you really want to do it, you're going to do it. I mean,
right.
What do you say to that?
But here's the thing. I took 2/3 of a container of antifreeze and drank it down and chased it down with Mountain Dew. Okay. So you think that wasn't lethal? You think that I was looking for attention? I did that all alone in my motel room that I got. I did carbon monoxide. Nobody was around. Matter of fact, I sent them away. I sent them away to another area so that I could get this done. I had carbon monoxide go through my body for over an hour, right? And then what ended up happening is that I lived. I had a stroke in regards to a result of it, right? I ended up with a stroke, and I ended up having like symptoms of like where tremors and everything like that. They thought I had Parkinson's disease. They thought it was dormant within me, but it was because of the carbon monoxide that had, long-lasting effects, right? Was that me looking for attention? No. I was looking to get the hell out of here. I was looking to be done. I was done because you don't understand, and Jacque knows this too. We do this 24/7, 365. You don't see that. The average person, the average society, the political realm, for crying out loud, you got to be kidding me. They don't have a damn clue with what it's like to actually deal with that on a 24/7 basis. You want to call me weak? You go ahead and you try calling me weak. I'll show you where it is that I'm not weak, because I survived all of this. Now, I've survived all of this not only because of me, but I truly believe that it was because of a higher power. I truly believe that the universe had something in store. And obviously what it is that I've created with the Speaking of the Heart and Phoenix Radio, there is something there that is designed to help others. But I'm not trying to grandstand here. I'm trying to tell the real deal. I'm trying to tell you the truth. It doesn't matter that I'm wearing a blue blazer, that I'm wearing a fitted shirt. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I get a haircut and I look good. I'm told that I'm a pretty good looking guy. I'm told that I got a nice voice. I'm told that I care about people, everything like that. I'm single and I'm lonely a lot of the time. But I do a lot what it is that I can do in order to help other people. And when I do that, then all of a sudden people are like, oh, he's okay. He's okay. because he's trying to help somebody else out. So he must be all right, because otherwise he would just be worrying about himself.
You wear many faces.
Thank you for sharing that, man. Thank you.
Robin
Thank you for
Williams.
sharing.
Robin Williams always said that we wear many faces when you battle mental health. Many faces of the clown. And if you notice, all those comedians that passed away, you know what? They all made us laugh. Chris Farley, Belushi, Robin Williams. You go right down the list. But yet they were haunted by something deeper that no one caught on to. Shane and I had this conversation about Chester from Lincoln Park, who I met personally. I met him years ago at a concert in the Meadowlands. But through his music, he was reaching out. But us, we don't take that message in. You have to listen to the music. We may listen to a beat, but if you listen to that song, you take one of those songs. Shane and I went over a ton of songs that they wrote. Go through the lyrics of those songs. And that is him just crying, screaming out, I need fucking help. And nobody reached out. And where are we now? He's no longer with us because of that.
He literally said in a song, I don't like my mind right now.
Right.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then one night, right? It's like one more life. He was saying one more life. He wasn't saying one night. He was literally like singing it like one more life. He literally, every time that he spoke, I watched easily 50 different interviews that he did, right? Because I was a big fan of Lincoln Park. I really was. And I loved the sound and his gut-wrenching, scream, of which was technically perfect, because he didn't ruin his vocal cords, because he did it technically perfect. But he was doing it technically perfect out of the utter pain that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
And he was constantly talking about it and constantly saying, I don't like my mind right now. There are times as to where I don't feel as if like being here is where I want to be. There are times as to where, it's like, and people would hear it. They would hear it, but what the hell are you going to do about it? Like, what are you really going to do about it?
That's a super important spot to stop right there, Shane, is that, when I sit there and I think about, my mom was always suicidal. She's like, I'm going to kill myself. And I literally had to get to the point where I took the gun away from her, because I didn't want her to kill herself, because I didn't want to be the one to have to find it. I'm like, if you want to kill yourself, take some pills, I'll find you, and then I'll call the coroner. It's no big deal. But, it's interesting how, going back to that open communication, that vulnerability, it's our responsibility as the person who's struggling to go out there and say something to somebody. We got to get that open line of communication to be able to say, I'm a Chester Bennington, I'm a Chris Cornell, I'm a Robin Williams. I listen, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think, and this is what I would want to hear from you before I answer it. What do you guys think that is? Obviously it could be ego. It could be, what is it that you would want to take your own life before just being flat out honest with everybody else?
Because you're afraid that you're going to be judged. I mean, it goes back to the whole for men anyway, it goes back to us being judged. We don't want to be looked at as weak. I think if we're not allowed to show our feelings, then it's easier just to take the end game and just say, you know what, rather than come out and be called a pussy or a fag or whatever you're going to call me, I'm just going to take my own life. You know what? I'm just going to end it here. And I don't have to listen to all the criticisms rather than seek support. And the thing is with anything, as I said to Shane the other day, we were talking, anyone's first step, man, woman, child, whatever, you need to come out and say you need support. That's what you need to do. You need to take that first step. I don't care what you're dealing with. It doesn't have to be mental health. It could be gambling. It could be anything. You need to be the one to say, I need help and I need it now. And seek that out, because people, the old adage is people say, well, there's nothing out there. Bullshit. There are tons of things out there. Hotlines. I mean, people such as ourselves. I mean, just as Shane alluded to before. I wanted to just touch on something real quick that he said about security, about offering a woman security. Well, on the flip side of that, as much as a woman wants that, women nowadays are so secure and independent in the way that they are. Right. Yeah. They aren't afraid to offer us the security. And that's what I found in my wife. When we were talking about how you said, how can I have a wife deal with suicidology? Well, because she offered me that security. She was my saving grace. She was that light at the end of the tunnel. She's the one that made me straighten my ass out. And I told you this, Shane. I was going through, and back in the day, 1.5 liters of Southern Comfort a day and probably an 8-ball of cocaine. And I was in bar fights every night of the week. I hurt a ton of people. And my wife finally said to me, listen, enough's enough. You need to knock the shit off now. Things need to change. She put her foot down, and I respected her for that. It took some time. It wasn't like it changed overnight. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, because that'd be bullshit. But it did it did sit in the back of my mind. And I always double, I went over things in my head before I did things and said, wow, you know what? Let's go revert back to that conversation. And you know what? Our relationship's 10 times stronger than it ever was in the beginning, because she said, enough's enough. She finally stood up to me that nobody else wanted to do. It takes that one person, man, woman, child, doesn't matter who it is, to stand up and say, knock the shit off now.
Yes.
We can take care of this issue. So, and I said to Shane the other day too, I said, you know what? He was very honest with me. We had a very in-depth conversation with things that went on in his life. And I said, you know what? If you put yourself out there to that level, when we say put ourselves out there, I don't mean just slightly. I mean, balls out, put it all out there and say, listen, this is me. I'm Shane Schulz. This is what I've gone through. I got a ton of fucking baggage, but I'm a lonely dude and I have a lot to offer somebody. Because Shane, whether you believe it or not, you do. You're still a human being. You still have attributes to offer somebody. And you know what? There is somebody that's going to be out there that's going to watch that and go, you know what? He seems like a pretty nice guy. And you know what? They may make that step out there, but you have to put yourself all the way in. It can't be,
right.
And I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying a lot of us like to put your foot, your toes in the water. Toes in the water is a little cold. No, you got to jump all in, man. Cannonball. Ron Burgundy right in the thing. Cannonball.
Yeah.
Jump in, man. You never know what you're going to get. There you go. You never know what you're going to get.
I'm going to answer your question a little bit differently, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I went off on a whole other tangent. Chris.
No,
My bad.
It's hang on one sec, Shane, because we've had so many comments. I just want to make sure I don't get too far away from the comments, because it's important that we recognize what everybody's saying.
Sure.
Here. Yeah. I mean, thank you guys for being so transparent. Bridget says, is this a belief system about women or rather experience? I would say both. Tiffany or Teresa Adams Hennessy, thank you for being here, Teresa. Security can mean a lot of things. I want a man that's enlightened or working on themselves and wants to be a teammate.
Great point. I love that point. That's an awesome.
Teresa, mate, Shane. Exactly. I was gonna say that very same thing, Teresa. So thank you very much for saying that, because there are a lot of powerful women in here, in this world. I mean, I just interviewed one of them on my show, Monica Kretschmer. She was actually on Friday Night Live last week. And what a powerhouse. I mean, if you want a strong woman in your life, I would love that strong woman in my life, aside from the wife that I have right now. Well, not aside, but you know what I mean.
Wow.
Don't give me any trouble.
He just say on the side?
My wife doesn't watch this show anyway. I can say whatever I want.
Oh, there you go.
Teresa Turner.
I love your wife. Your wife's cool. Go ahead.
What's up,
Go
Teresa
ahead.
Turner? Teresa, thank you for being here. Is this about a love relationship? Oh, sorry for my sisters. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Sorry for some experiences. What do we got here? Amen. Pamela, what's Pamela got to say? Pamela is brilliant. As a collective, we have to start learning to look at all the ways we can move beyond the pain in our lives. It's too easy to get caught in the loop of all that's gone wrong. In that loop, we can never expand. Bam, bam, Pam, bam, Pam.
This goes to my answer to the question, though, Chris.
Okay.
So keep going.
Okay, we got hey Crystal, good to see you. Good to see you.
Crystal.
Thank you for being here. Deanna, hey, Deanna's here in the house. I love Deanna. People, and how's the pup doing, by the way? How's your pup doing? People left behind want to know what the mindset was for people who have come to the decision that this is the only option they feel they have. That's a great question. That's a great question. Hang on to that for a second. Teresa says, so true. We do wear a lot of faces. Oh yeah. I talk about that all the time. It's like, if you have to put on a face to go all these different places, then that's just ridiculous. You're just wasting your life. I mean, so sad, the connection. Yeah. Bridget says survival is one side of the story, but to experience, to feel alive would be the next step. Yes. I mean, that's why we're alive. I mean, we're living, we're not supposed to be existing. Mark Gassert's in the house. Mark Gassert's going to be my guest next Tuesday on my Raw&Unscripted show. I just have a little plug. Right on, Jacque. Listen to the words, not just the music.
Thank you, Mark. Good.
Yeah, Mark is a big, huge music fan. So yeah, that's so true. And even I'm guilty of that, because like the song "In the End," I used to scream that. I saw Linkin Park a few times, and they were phenomenal. And it, of course, I always know that the singers or the songwriters have that pain and everything. But you think, okay, now you've reached a level of success. Now you have everything. We could talk about that in a minute. But Bridget says we need a men empowerment programs as well. Everybody these days is talking about women empowerment only in advertising and politics. Here, me as well, in my NGO work.
That's a good point, Bridget. It's nothing. Sorry, Chris, but Bridget, that's a good idea, because Shane knows this. I have my own conscious men's group built into my foundation, and what that is an empowering group for men. It's grown from 3 members to 80 members. And I've got people that are 300-pound Hell's Angels and 60-year-old men and 18-year-old boys. And these guys come out and they talk about their feelings in that group setting, and they get everything out in a group setting. And the first meeting I had, I thought I'd have to get up and say, hey, you know, I'm Jacque Ecuyer, blah, blah. Nope. First guy comes in. He went over, shook another guy's hand. He said, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm a recovering addict. The other guy said, I'm 20 years sober. This is how the conversation started. I sat back and watched 12 guys sit there and entertain themselves. I didn't have to do a goddamn thing. I just sat back and I was in awe to go, wow, that was what we needed right there. So moving forward, we have men's hikes planned. Actually, I got one planned for next week. It's a men's hike that I got the idea from a group in Australia where we go out into nature. We do the hike. And at the end of the hike, these guys can take their shirts off. They primal scream at the top of a mountain. You just let all your rage out. You want to beat your chest. You want to yell. You want to scream. You want to cry. You do it right out there in nature. And we're hoping that that catches on where we can do that on a, you know, like a bi-weekly basis. So that's one of the things. So to answer Bridget's question, I'm doing it or trying to do it up here in upstate New York. So.
Awesome. I love that. I love that idea. Like I've always thought about motivational hikes, you know, go up there.
Yes.
But the same thing. I mean, a couple of buddies, I'm in a men's group now online. That's amazing group. I've been a part of a lot of groups, and that's usually it doesn't work out because they're salesy or they're just fake or whatever. But I've been with this group of guys, probably about 12 consistent guys. And I am blown away by the transparency, the vulnerability, you know, just the sheer truth that they speak. They're like, you know, I wouldn't expect that. I mean, they're telling me everything, you know, I cheated on my wife and I had to come back and say this, or I was doing this, you know, and it's just so amazing how good it feels to be around the people that get you and that aren't going to sit there and judge you. I can sit there and say, hey, listen, guys, you know, I'm the master motivator, but I struggle with depression sometimes. You know, I struggle with these things. And they're like, oh, dude, I would have never known that. You know, anytime you need somebody to talk to, I'm always here. And it's not one of those cases where people say, I'm always here. And you feel like, okay, I don't want to put that on somebody. But, you know, in this situation, when you have a brother who you can sit there and call him like, dude, I'm having a moment. I just want to go batshit crazy. All right, dude, what's going on? Let me ask you some questions. But just a stimulating conversation tonight. Thank you guys. If you guys are getting value out of this, please share this out. Obviously it's a very important subject. Shane, now your opportunity to answer. Thank you for pausing.
Yeah. You asked a question that a lot of people ask, right? And that is how can somebody take their life or think about taking their life and leaving behind what it is that they would leave behind, whether it be their family, whether it be their wife, whether it be their loved ones, whether it be friends, whatever that is. How can they do that? One reason. It's an illness. It's called an illness for a reason. You're in an illness mindset. You are not in a normal mindset. Okay? Again, you gotta understand what I'm saying to you here. Nobody commits suicide just off of a reaction. That just doesn't happen. What it is if somebody is taking their life, they've thought about it. You know, we mentioned about Robin Williams. Robin Williams thought about taking his life. Now, society cannot live with the fact that Robin Williams committed suicide or died by suicide. That's a whole other subject that we need to get into. But society cannot take that. They don't want to deal with that. They don't want to say that he took his own life. They want to say, well, he died by Lewy dementia, right? They want to say that he died because of some medical thing that was eating away at his brain, and that's what it was. Like hell. Robin Williams was suicidal more times than what it is that anybody would ever want to admit to. He was. Why do you think it is? He overdosed how many damn times in his lifetime? Right? How many times did he get into trouble and also into serious situations? Go ahead and look at the documentaries. That man was going around and he was looking to die a number of times. He was looking to be gone. And he was one that was able to talk about depression, and people were like, oh, he's so right. And it's like the faces of depression and this and that and this, and it's so right. Yeah, but in the meantime, you didn't throw him over and say, hey, can we help you?
Yep.
Because he was too busy making money for people. He was too busy making people laugh. He was too busy bringing people to the movies. He was too busy making people on Mork. Do you know how many times that man was late for getting on the set because he overdosed?
Yeah.
A ton. Like they were actually going to cancel him. Mark, right? I mean, the biggest show going at the time was going to be canceled because they couldn't deal with him. They couldn't deal with the fact that he was late all the time. They couldn't deal with the fact that he wasn't even coherent some of the times. But then he would go on to his riff and he would make you laugh, and then everybody, everything's all right. Okay? So getting back to what it is I'm saying. When you're talking about suicide, you're talking about an illness. You're talking about an illness mindset. You're not talking about something that is an average mindset. And when I say this, I'm going to give you a prime example. One is that you start answering the questions that you start asking. In other words, you're asking the question and you're answering the question at the same damn time. Because like, say for instance, often, because I've done this often, where, you're sitting there and you're like, well, your parents are going to miss you. They're going to love you. They love you. They don't want you to be gone. They're going to be so upset. Yeah, but they won't have to deal with the baggage anymore. They won't have to go to the hospitals. They won't have to go to the police barracks. They won't have to deal with the fact that I lost my job. They won't have to deal with the fact that I lost a relationship. They won't have to deal with those things because of my illness that I deal with. All right. So that's one. Well, your friends, they love you. They would miss you. Yeah. But do they really know me? Do they really know who it is that I am? And would have they been my friends if it is that I told them what it is that I was thinking and feeling on a day-to-day basis? This is what ends up happening. And what goes on is that the walls start coming in. And you all of a sudden are in this box. We always talk about trying to get out of the box, right? You want to think out of the box. You want to think out of the box in order to be able to find that solution. The problem with somebody that's in that mindset, they go in the box. They go in it. They tell people, listen, I'm not here. I'm over there. Go over there and go find me while I'm trying to do something here. They sit there and it's like I'll never forget. There was one time where I had a situation as where my trust was betrayed, right? That was the trigger. Was that the reason why? No, it wasn't the reason why. The reason why I was suicidal was because of things that I've dealt with since I was single digits years old.
Yep.
It was a trigger that, yes, it triggered me. But you want to know something? I already had it all figured out, right? I already had it planned. I planned on what the suit that I was going to have them use for me. I planned on, I had a little bag that had things, mementos and everything like that. I had it all figured out. It was already there. But then I got the trigger and then I put it into action. And then next thing you know, my ex-fiance calls me. And she says, what's going on? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, something's not right. There's a different kind of vibe going on. It's like, I haven't heard from you. I know what it is that happened. I know that doesn't go well with you, and you haven't come out and said anything. So what's going on? She says, I'm coming over now. So she was getting people coming to my apartment. I immediately said, boom. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to pick up everything and go. So I literally went on the run, and I went to the hardware store. And I went to the hardware store to get what it is that I needed in order to be able to take care of what it is that I needed to take care of at that time that I felt that I needed to do. That's the mindset. You end up, your survival mindset is working against you. It's really working against you. You're not thinking about what it is that I love people who say, well, you must not have thought about who it is that you were leaving behind. Are you kidding me? That's all that you think about. That's all that you think about.
For them. That's what I thought too. It'll be easier if I'm not here, they don't have to deal with, this or that or this or that. But yeah. No, it's because what so often happens from an early point in childhood, and correct me if I'm wrong, you think about it, I watch my son. I mean, one of the greatest gifts for me right now is in personal development is seeing all the bells and whistles go on as he's learning things. And because I know from 0 to 5, that's when we learn most of our lessons. And so I'm watching these things. I watched him get scared for the first time, and it was like, okay, this is crazy. But you really have to, I mean, it's just a matter of, we're told no so many times. We're told, if you do things right, you're great. And if you do things wrong, you're not. We're told, stop it, stop it, stop it, quit dreaming, quit doing all these things. Why did you do this? We're constantly picked on and picked on and picked on. That how many times are we told how awesome we are? How many times are we told legitimately how good, how much we're loved? And how many times do we give somebody a kiss and say, thank you for being you? The deficit on it is no wonder that I think a lot of us are walking around with a lot of hidden pain that we're not willing to come forth with. We are. And that's part of that healing process of just whatever happened as a kid, and those psychological traumas that happened to us even before we had any emotional intelligence to figure out, okay, what's right and what's wrong. I mean, we're told to lie. As kids, we were told to tell the truth. You better tell the truth. And then we tell the truth, and all of a sudden we say, why is that lady so fat? No, no. You don't ever say that. It's called a white lie. Okay, I'm 4 years old. What the fuck's a white lie? Okay, did you do good on your homework? Yeah, I did. Ooh, that white lie works. Oh, did you clean up your room? Yeah, I did. Well, shit. I mean, then we're told about the Easter Bunny and fucking Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy, and we're not even 7 years old, and now we're dealing with our identities and everything else. It's no wonder that that we get screwed up. And to your point, Shane, I mean, that's exactly what we're saying. Is it's like we feel like, okay, all these things in my life, it's just all built up, and it's like, okay, fuck you, world. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone, or whatever it is that happens. But I mean, am I correct?
It didn't with me. It wasn't, you're going to miss me when I'm gone. It was, I can't take anymore. I did not give up. I never gave up. I gave out. I gave out everything that I've got. And then I ended up to the point as to where I ended up being half conscious, where all of a sudden things start happening because of what it is that I've been thinking about and feeling about for a very long time. But, another thing is like the people that are sitting there and they say, well, tell them what it is that you're thinking and feeling. Tell them why it is that you are. Here's a problem. When you're dealing with an illness, you don't know. You don't know some of the times. I don't know why the hell it is that I have the pain that I have. I mean, I when I go out on stage and I speak, I often talk about the fact that I had a lot of advantages that kids don't get to have. I had two loving parents, for one thing. That's a pretty big deal these days, unfortunately. They loved me. They just didn't know exactly how to handle me because I didn't come with a book, right? I didn't come with a book along with on my ass that said, hey, this is what it is that you need to be able to deal with Shane and how it is that you want to deal with him, because he thinks about things differently. Okay. So there was that. I never had to worry about a roof over my head. Never had to worry about food on the table. I never had to worry about Christmases were pretty damn good. I mean, it's like family was loving, but I felt alone in the middle of all of that. Like during the holidays or during summer where you're at camping and everything like that. And you have a group of people and you got one side here of people that love you. And you got another side here that people that love you. And you're sitting here and you feel more alone than what it is that you could ever explain.
Absolutely. Jacque, what are your thoughts on some of the stuff we're talking about? Thank you, Shane.
Well, my mind's always going when just listening to you guys talk. So it's 2 points, that I like. One of them, that is what Shane brought up, and that happened to go back to the Robin Williams thing. I never understood why it took someone on a specific platform to raise awareness. And by that, I mean, we'll use Anthony Bourdain, okay? All of a sudden, no one's talking about suicide. We're not talking about men's mental health. Nobody wants to talk about it. All of a sudden, Anthony Bourdain takes his own life. Holy shit, now the whole fucking world's coming to an end. Oh, my God, it's Anthony Bourdain. What happened to John Smith, my neighbor, who hung himself in the garage? Or what happened to Tom Jones, who lives up the road? No one's going to ever hear about them. But because they're on a platform, now all of a sudden we're going to pay attention to it?
Right.
I just never understood that. And, like Shane was saying about Robin Williams, nobody wanted to believe that. Well, no, we hold those people, entertainers and musicians and athletes, in this higher level. So we don't want to think anything bad ever happens. They are like the top tier of the human race as far as we're concerned. As we're going up, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, nothing ever affects them because they are who they are. Well, that's bullshit, because those people, the bottom line is mental health affects anybody. It doesn't care what color you are. It doesn't care what religious background you are. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor, a cop, a not a cop, gay, straight, doesn't matter. Mental health affects everybody. We all know somebody or have been through it ourselves. We just have to come out and want to admit to it and make it a priority, especially in these days and times. The forgotten people are the people that are dealing with mental health issues. I commend everyone that's doing it on proper platforms. Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, I get it. But when you said to the American people, we are going to segregate you even more, the people that are dealing with mental health issues now cannot go to their psychologist, can't go to their group meetings. So you took a segregated person and segregated them even more. You know what that does to the psyche? You guys both know because you've dealt with mental health issues. You know what that does to that psyche of that individual? You've just told them now you have no outlets.
Yep.
So now what's happened? Suicide rates going up. These are all proven. Domestic violence is going up. Child abuse, missing children. The world, think about it. Just go research those percentages. Every one of those has gone up. Why? Yeah. Because of all of this shit and the negativity in this world right now. And we don't have enough resources out there or people that are willing to come out and say, listen, we're here to help. That's what we need to do. That is the answer to this question right here.
Mm-hmm. That's really the thing, Chris, is that the perception is that we're fine. We're making it that it's our mental health. No, that's not the case. We have an illness. There's something not right. There's something not. Listen, I literally have it in a letter that I have whenever it is that I pass, because I'm dealing with some health issues and everything like that. But also whenever it is that I pass, I want my damn brain to be studied. I want people to be able to learn from what it is that I've experienced in my lifetime. I want them to understand, okay, here's what was happening. The serotonin wasn't coming in right. This wasn't coming in right. Or the primal brain was a certain way. You know, it's like there's a lot of things that really can lead somebody to dealing with this stuff. And when we're sitting there and we are having the perception that they're okay, because we cannot deal with the fact that if they're not, because if they're not, then what the hell do we do about that? Right? Because then we don't necessarily know what to do. So then we're sitting there and now we're like, okay, well, we're going to look the other way and we're going to hope to God that he works it out. We hope to God that he works it out. Or, you know, you hear somebody saying something, you hear somebody like kind of like sharing what it is that's going on. And then you are just merely hoping. Do you know how many times that I've actually helped people when it comes to suicidality? And you know how many times is where all I could do was hope that they were going to be here tomorrow? That's really all that I could do. Right? And that's really what it is that society can do too. But the reality is that if somebody's thinking about suicide and if somebody's dealing with that's not a healthy mindset. It's just not. It's a part of an illness. And that's part of what it is that we need to talk about. And we need to stop looking at it from the standpoint that, oh no, they were fine. And then they were fine. Right. They were fine, but then they took their life. No, that doesn't happen.
No.
You know,
can I share something with you guys?
Doc's got a news report. This just in.
No. Here's the funny thing that I've never been this person to put things into writing. I've always been a speaker. I mean, that's my wife is the writer. So I started to come up with these things. These ideas would come in my head, and I started to write poems, and they got this great following. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share one of these. So I can either do it may give some people some insight into what at least I was going through. So I'm going to read. Here we go. This will go. This one's called "Crying Out." So basically, I am in pain every day. I'm in pain in every way. Sorry, mental, physical, in every way. I try to bury it deep inside. I try my best to leave pain behind. I feel like I failed in every aspect of life. My children, my family, especially my wife. My job, my friends, all bring me strife. I'm depressed and I'm sad. I'm broken and mad. I've let the world down. I continue to drown. Is there a place for me to hide? Is there a place to make pain subside? I feel like I have nothing to give. I feel like I have no reason to live. Tears streaming down up against the wall, taking my life away from it all. To those left behind who don't understand, I reached out many times. No one extended a hand. This is what people go through each and every day. You ask how I know? Because it was once my way. So basically, to those
Wow.
people out there, and you know what, these are just, you know, I would just things that would come up, but it resonates, and I would read them on these live videos, and people are like, "Wow, you should make a book." So I started writing. I probably have, I don't know, 15 or 20 different about what I went through, and if that can help somebody, you know, I'm hoping that you know, that it can. So really quick, the thought for is there anyone still watching? There's probably people still on here.
Oh no,
So
no,
basically,
there still is. But I was going to tell you, we just had this is a book of poetry. We had Wallace Johnson. I almost forgot his name. Wallace Johnson was on our show, and he took all of his pain with Black Lives Matter and being African American in the world and put it into a poetry book, and it's magnificent. I mean, seriously, I got so many dog-eared pages. So definitely take that and share that with the world. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, thank you for sharing that. That was really moving and very insightful. I hope to everybody listening and watching tonight. By the way, thank you for being with us. Yeah.
Well, so you know, it's no coincidence that, you know, a written piece started everything that we're doing here. It started, right? It started Arisen Strength. It started the Speaking the Heart Podcast Network. It started Phoenix Radio, and it started here, right? What we're doing, because everything is kind of powered by what the Speaking the Heart is and everything in that sense, right? Because that's what it is that we do. We try to help others reach outside of what it is that they're out by, help them rise above life challenges, mind, body, and spirit. The written piece was called Arisen Strength, right? Here's the thing. This was the universe. For those of you who enjoy the universe and who enjoy, you know, how the universe kind of like directs things and kind of lets us go. What it was is it started out with was, hey, where do you think you're going? You can't be done yet because I'm still here. You know what? Never mind. I get it. You saw I was broken. You thought that I was finished and I was done. Because my pain no longer makes you happy and no longer entertains you. So you left me here, hemorrhaging between my thoughts and my feelings. And now you left me here to die and be another statistic in my own shame. You took all I loved, all I worked for, all that I was. How could you think that there be anything left, that there be anything to take? Because we both know you took it all. So now I'm just here dealing with my own pain and being a statistic in my own shame. So tell me, what else do you have for me? What else are you going to throw at me? And the reason why I say that is because I was actually asking the Grim Reaper, what's next? What's next that I'm going to have to deal with? And there wasn't an answer there. There wasn't an answer that was coming, or even in my head. And I said, oh, you don't have an answer. No, don't get me wrong. You did everything that you could to push me off the edge. And I'll admit, at times, I was more than willing to let you. But here's the thing, demon of mine. I want you to look in my eyes right now. Do I look like I'm done? Does it feel like I'm finished? Or do my eyes gleam strength? Do they show purpose? Let me ask you this. Do they show life? You see, you don't know it yet, but you got a big problem now because you used it all. You used addiction, tragedy, grief, love. Most of all, you used me. And yet I'm still here. The time of your reign is over. No longer will I have that perception that you're unbeatable, because I clearly have taken everything that you can give. And here I am in the front, in the fight, and ready to make a difference. Now, I know that there's still going to be tough times, because I know that you're going to still be coming after me, because we both know you're going to be coming after me with everything that you've got. But remember what I said, you've got a problem now. And believe me, you do. You see, you've been beating on not only me, but you also been beating on other people, like friends, like family, brothers and sisters in my spiritual heart and mind. So now I'm going to show you what I can do. See, unlike you, I'll not sit idly by while people suffer in their pain. No, instead, I'll help them find their strength and their purpose, and then you'll have more of a problem than what you ever expected. So glove up, because this fight has only now begun. That was the motivational piece that I had written.
Damn.
But it wasn't a motivational piece when I wrote it. It was me writing to my pain. It was me writing to my demon. it turned out to be a motivational piece, and it turned out to be a springboard for everything that happens right now. But it comes from a hell of a lot of pain, and it comes from a hell of a lot of distress, and it comes from a hell of a lot of strife, and it comes from a hell of a lot of like, I don't fucking know, for a long time.
So what's your why? What is the why that keeps you going through all of that? What's the big why? I mean, that there's got to be a driving force in the fact of why you've turned your trash into your treasure, and that you're making a difference now in the world with the things that you've gone through, being transparent. What is your why?
My why is pretty simple. My why is that to make it so that the experiences that I've experienced throughout my life are not for nothing. They're there to now be utilized to help others. That's really it. Yeah. It was, as far as like, the big why, it's like, oh, I want to make it. No. It's because if I didn't do something with it, then all it would be is pain and suffering. That's it. So with me doing something with it, that allows me to be able to now help others. That allows me to be able to make a difference for other people. That allows me to make a difference and make sense of why it is that I went through this. And there are other, and look, I'm not the only one, Duke. I mean, I've lived in 16 states in this country. I've come across hundreds, if not thousands of people who are very similar to me. Right. And they are people that are amazing in what it is that they do. It just so happens that this is my path. This is my path in order to make a difference. I didn't go to broadcasting school. I didn't know what the hell a podcast was until my buddy Wayne told me. But I knew that I had a story. I knew that I had a purpose, and that purpose was to help people be more than the challenges that they face, so that they could be who it is that they are meant to be versus what they might feel like. That's really where it came from. And so, but in the meantime, does that mean that I don't deal with mental health? Does that mean that I don't deal with mental illness, depression? No, I still deal with it. And that needs to be understood, And so why we're talking about, it's like, reason why we're talking about this is, it's Suicide Prevention Month. Who cares if it's a month or not? Because I could tell you, suicide prevention and awareness is 24/7, 365 damn days out of the year. Straight up. And if it's not, then we got a problem.
Right.
Because if you're just thinking about it during the September, I can promise you, we're going to have a lot more of a problem than what it is that we would otherwise. So, it's like, and look, you look at Chris, you look at myself, you look at Jacque, we're all capable. We're capable of doing a lot of different things. I have a lot of respect for these two gentlemen here, and a ton of respect for other people that have dealt with different types of challenges and struggles. But it doesn't mean that they don't go through some stuff. Jacque, you could tell we had a candid conversation not that long ago. And Jacque clearly said that there wasn't a time where it wasn't too long ago where he was thinking, you know what? I can't do this anymore. You know what?
Yep.
I had something similar. You know how close it was to where I almost signed over the Speak in the Heart and the Phoenix Radio over to BH and say, okay, it's yours. Now I'm free to go. You know how close that was?
How close?
It was close. Like real close. So, and that's not to alarm people. That's not to say that, it's like, oh my God, Shane's in trouble. We got to go to No, that's not what I'm saying. We're not talking about this in order to alarm you. We're talking about this in order to bring awareness to you so that you can now make a difference in somebody's life that's out there. You can do it on a day-to-day basis, not just in the emergencies, right. Not just into where it is that you think that there might be something wrong and therefore, you make a quick call. No, you need to make a call every freaking damn day sometimes, and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to put that on anybody else. I'm not trying to put responsibility on people, but really, if you want to make a difference in this world, if you really want to make a difference in this world, in the pain that people do experience, then you have to be there. You have to show up. Whether you're a friend or whether you're an acquaintance, whether you're somebody or an advocate, whatever that is, if you're a business owner, whatever that is, if you really want to make a difference, you need to show up. And that is the only way that there's going to be a difference made.
Bam. Thoughts, Jacque? What do you think?
Shane. Well, I mean, Shane's a great speaker. I mean, there's nothing. I'm not gonna, detract from anything that he says. I agree, with him wholeheartedly. I'm just gonna share something on my end that gets me through, and hopefully this helps some other people. It's called Just for Today. It's very simple. Just for today, I will be happy. I will not dwell on thoughts that depress me. I will accept what is. I will face reality. I will correct those things I can correct. I will accept those that I cannot. I will gather the courage to do what is right and take responsibility for my own actions just for today. And basically all it's saying is you take it one day at a time. No matter what you're dealing with, it's one day at a time, because every day you wake up, and I do this every morning, I take that first deep breath and I think whatever higher power that you believe in, that you got a second shot at it. And you know what? You're still here. Shane, you're still here for a reason. We discussed this the other day. You went through all of these attempts, but there's a bigger calling, a bigger purpose, such as there is for myself, such as there is for Chris. There's reasons why we're still here. We may not understand them right now. They may not come to fruition right now. It's not our job to investigate that and try to figure out the why. Just move forward and say, you know what? There is a reason. We understand what we need to do as men, as human beings, is to get our stories out there to help others in whatever journey that they are on and save as many lives as we possibly can. And if we pick up some allies along the way, then God bless them, because you know what? We need an army. Yes. So we're asking everybody out there, you want to, team up, army up, join the cause, do something in your communities, volunteer somewhere, help somebody with what you've been through. I mean, it's very simple. Random acts of kindness gets people through the day. It's very simple concept, people. It's very, very simple. Just take a moment, think about your actions. Instead of reactions, make it an action, not a reaction.
Damn.
Perfect. And that goes, listen, there's a reason why it is that I'm on the show tonight, right? And that is because, look, I've got my enforcer over there in the corner over on my left, right? And I've got my dog right here on the bottom. And I say that with all affection, because it's like, these guys, I respect a tremendous amount, and I love them in different ways, right? I love them in different ways, but that's evolving as it goes, right? But here's the thing. We collectively are strong. We collectively are able. We collectively are, capable of doing tremendous amount of different things. Individually is where it is that we kind of fall weak. Individually is where we kind of fall vulnerable. And it's not only vulnerable, but it's also, susceptible. That's more like more like what it is that you end up feeling like. So, but the reality is that people need to know, it doesn't matter what it is doesn't matter how many muscles you have. It doesn't matter, what's in your bank account. It doesn't matter what it is that you're driving. It doesn't matter what it is that you're wearing. That person can still deal with some stuff. That person can still be dealing with some stuff. I can tell you that when there was a point in time where my godmother at the time, she unfortunately had somebody pass away. She had a son pass away when very young, and she never got over it at all. And she was like very, very depressed and everything. And she guarded it like you would not believe. There was one time where I decided that I was going to be taking my life that evening. And so what I did is that I went and I saw my godparents for the last time. They didn't know it. I went and saw my godparents, and I went to see my parents for the last time. I was in the house with them, and what we talked about was depression, because my godmother didn't understand that how it is that I could feel the depression as much as what it is that I do. And when she felt as bad as what it is that she felt and that she was going through, she didn't understand how it is that I could think that my depression was any more than hers. And, so what it was is that I literally gave her time and space to talk about the fact of the difference between the emotion of depression and the illness of depression. because the American Medical Association really screwed up when they gave them the same name. And so, when it comes to depression, there are 9 points of criteria. You have to have 5 of those in order to be able to qualify for clinical depression. Okay. Now, here's another thing that she didn't know. She was clinically depressed. She just wasn't diagnosed. Right? This is the type of thing that needs to be talked about. Right? Instead of saying, well, it's like depression. Come on. I've gone through depression. Your mother's gone through depression. Your friend's gone through depression. You got to get over it. Everybody does. Yeah, you get sad or whatever the case may be. You're sad, you're upset, whatever the case may be. You got to move on. No, that's not what clinical depression is. You don't move on. It's like Velcro. It stays with you, but nobody will know that unless if we're talking about it. Nobody will know that unless if somebody gets up on stage and says, and sits there and says, yeah, you know what? I can take on the world if I damn well want to. But here's the thing. There's some days where I don't feel like being on this world.
That's a great closing statement, Mr. Shane Schulz. Guys, I'm going to speak on behalf of Scott because I can do that. He's not here. But I know he would have a lot of input and a lot of questions and a lot of his own versions of things, the way Scott comes across, which is very beautiful and very eloquent. I'm inviting you guys back on the show to continue the conversation so we can raise more awareness to what's going on. Perhaps we can share the show out and get more people involved and continue the conversation, because there's so many different dynamics that I want to dive into. And I really appreciate the fact that it turns me on as a host to know that you guys are willing to go that extra mile to say, okay, here's what's on my mind and here's the things I've been through. I mean, the poem you shared, Jacque, is, just beautiful. Shane, everything you've said tonight is beautiful. We've got people just blowing up the comments. We got the blowing up the comments just by the sheer information. Thank you all for this information. It's honestly helping some people. Of course, me, she says. Bridget says, I am with old handicap driver, training little kids, being there for Africa as well. Vulnerable persons are everywhere. Talk to people and you will find out. Yes. I think the overarching situation here is the fact that we have to communicate. We have to communicate with ourselves. Honestly, number one, we can't lie to ourselves and say everything's rosy when it sucks. Right. I mean, we've already clarified that point, but it's also incumbent upon us to go out there and say, hey, I need some help. Where can I find some help? And obviously in today's society, there's no shortage of places you can't go find that can help you. It's just that fact of finding that strength to be able to reach out and to do that. This has just been a great conversation. So will you guys come back?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Any final thoughts to send off for the people right now that are struggling right now? What are, if you had a microphone to the world, each of you, and you had a minute to say, okay, listen, I know some people are going through some shit right now. Everybody in the world, you have a minute.
Wow. A minute.
Yes. I used to say 3 minutes, but then people would be like going on and on. I want a minute. And I could do it in a minute too, because just think about it. People are out there, they're suffering, they're lonely, they're hungry, they're tired. We're all frustrated. I'm even getting to the point after 6 months. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to lose my shit because I just want to go back and feel a fucking normal person, right? And I'm a pretty strong person, but I could feel how it would definitely get to people with mental illness. But so you have the microphone, you have a minute. What do you say? Who wants to go first? Okay, we'll say Jacque.
Oh man, put me on the spot. New guy on the spot. Oh man. Well, I think I would just tell everybody, listen, I can truly understand what you're going through. And by that, what I mean by that is I have literally lived through every facet of the mental health minefield. And I've come out on the other end of it. I call it my rising from the ashes story. I've been to the depths of hell and back. And with the right support and the right family and surroundings, you can achieve anything that you set out to do. But as Chris alluded to, you have to take that first step on your own, as difficult as that may be. As soon as you ask for help, the doors open up and your life will change. I guarantee you that.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And you were all worried. I knew you had it in you. Come on.
Well, it takes a moment when you put, I'm normally pretty good about it, but it's like,
you know how to bark pretty good.
Exactly. I mean, you included me in it, so that's beautiful. Thank you.
Hey,
all right, Shane, I said a minute.
A minute. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I love what it is that Jacque said.
Okay, time's up.
You know, I have a certain photo that I could use, you know, towards you, if you recall. You remember the one that I'm talking about?
The one
that I used towards you, that is my picture, you know, saying my love towards you, then that you're number one.
No, I don't remember.
You don't remember the picture that says that you're number one from me to you? All right.
I don't remember.
I'll be sure to show it to you real soon.
You can share this. I don't care. Go for it. All right.
With me giving you the finger.
You just took his minute up on him. Now he's all out of time. Yeah. Sorry, Shane. We'll now back to
James. Wait a minute. I own this joint. It's like, no. Here's the thing. I love what Jacque said. I also want to acknowledge those who feel what it is that I felt over the years. Look, when it came to personal development and everything, I loved personal development. Here's the problem. I couldn't feel what it is that they were saying. Another thing is that I did ask. I lived in 16 states in this country, and I went to a number of different therapy. I went to a number of different hospitals. Hell, I had 7 inpatient stays. There have been times where I literally brought myself into the hospital in order to say, hey, look, I don't know what it is that you did, but it's not altogether working, so I need help. You know, so it's like there's been a number of different times where I did ask for help. And it, for whatever damn reason, it didn't take in the way that I really needed it to take. But the bottom line is I'm going to tell you this, and this is really from my heart to yours. No matter what it is that you're going through, it doesn't have to be mental illness. It doesn't have to be depression or anything like that. It could be any number of different things. You are more than the challenges that you face. You really are. You're more than the challenges. You're more than a diagnosis. You're more than a symptom. You're more than what it is that stereotype is, because you are something that is special and unique within your own self. You have to realize that. And I promise you, if you start believing in that, then all of a sudden some things can start turning around. Now, that doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect, but it does mean that it can be a little bit better. And that's between you and I, from my heart to yours, to making a difference. All right.
Beautiful, gentlemen. Beautiful, beautiful. We've been rapping for 1 hour and 27 minutes and 14 seconds, not to be exact. We got Robert Brooker here. Let's take a look at his comments here before we sign off. Those times can strike without warning, but fortunately have not been lasting as long or as severe lately. Last August, I did a 3-day tour in hell. Not fun, but even there was information available to me that was not available anywhere else. My writing had better flow and was more abundant upon the return. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. He goes on to say, learning that making myself miserable is not required when in depression. The stress level remained low. I think of it as a different perspective, an additional path that enhances the ability to meet others at their level. Yes. Yes. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, where can people get a hold of you?
Wow.
Blooper. How can,
Is there a blooper reel for this? That's great.
I was just like, man, I can smell dinner. Where can people get a hold of you individually and collectively?
You can get me all over the place. Facebook, Instagram under my name, or my foundation is actually 4S for Life. So it's the number 4, letter S, as in Stephen, the number 4, and Life, 4S for Life. The website's up, Facebook page. Just want to plug something real quick, which is getting out there to make an example of those random acts of kindness. I'm actually doing a 22-mile walk myself for suicide awareness, donating all the money to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. I'm doing that this Sunday. I leave at 7 a.m., arrive 22 miles away at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and just raising money for the cause. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Lead by example. Get out there. And it's not even about the money. It's about one man's quest to raise awareness for that issue. And the 22 is for the 22 lives a day of military personnel that we lose to suicide. 22 for 22.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hang on one second, gentlemen. We'll meet backstage in the green room. Hang on one second. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 1 hour and 29 minutes of a very serious conversation that we need to be having this day and age. Obviously, from the comments, thank you guys, all beautiful people, for being here and watching us here Friday night, of course. This is a very serious subject, and especially in this time that we're in right now, we are all struggling. I don't know anybody who's not struggling emotionally, physically, in this situation, because there's a lot of uncertainty. But the one thing you can count on is the certain fact is that you have to be truthful with yourself. You cannot walk around saying everything is roses and sunshine when inside you're miserable and you're crying yourself to sleep every night. That's a ridiculous way to live. This is a world of people, 7 billion people on this planet. And I happen to believe that 80% of us are really good people, and that we really should drop our guards and drop our defenses and communicate with each other, not keyboards, but actually have face-to-face conversations. There is no reason why. That's one thing I do love about COVID, is that it's brought so many people together on video. I started doing this show, the live show, on video because of COVID, and just trying to reach out to everybody and trying to make a difference. So we have to get vulnerable. We have to get real. But again, like we've said all throughout tonight, you have to be honest with yourself. And it's not about being a failure. It's not being about the judgment that somebody might have on you. Fuck those people, right? Who's the most important person in the world? If you don't say you, come on, reach out. You have to reach out. I'm always here for you guys. You know that. But you have to love and appreciate yourself. You have to love your soul. You have to love the fact that you're on this journey, and that life is happening for you and not to you. And of course, the bad times suck. Of course they do. I mean, that's why I got the tattoo. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. I had to put a reminder on my forearm for those downtimes, because I'm like, okay, how many more things do I have to go through in my life? I'm done. I've already proven my point. I'm strong. But, they say God doesn't give you what you can't handle. So they must think, you're a pioneer. We're all going through those things. But the thing we're not doing is we're not sharing that. We're posting our beautiful pictures on Facebook, and we're saying, oh, we're doing this, and we're doing, oh, everything's fine, when you're going to feed the kids, rice and beans again for the third night because you don't want to appear that you're hungry. I mean, this is the most important time in my life. I can see this right now. This time in our life right now is a time for us to unite and to find our similarities, and to find the things that we can be grateful for, not the things that we don't have, not put blame or anger or resentment on anything that's happened in our lives, because it's made us who we are today. And that's a choice. I could be curled up next to a dumpster right now if I was lucky, if I didn't make the right choices, and I didn't push myself, and I didn't believe in myself, and I didn't stop until I got where I'm going. And I'm not even stopping now. You have to have that passion and that excitement, especially in these times. But it doesn't happen if you're bottling everything up inside. Then what are you doing? You're going for your short-term gratification. You're going to your booze, your food, your gambling, your shopping, your sex, your Netflix, whatever it is. Oh, just let me get a break from this reality. You shouldn't be running from your reality. You should be running towards your reality. You should sit down with pen and paper and write everything that's in your brain, and not even think about it. Put it aside, and then go back and read it in like 3 days, and just really see what comes out. Don't even judge. Just let it flow. Just let it flow. And you'd be surprised. It may not happen for the first 10 minutes, but after 20 minutes, you might get on something like, oh yeah, I remember this time when this girl did this, or my parents did that. And then you go figure out what that truth is, that truth that's a make-believe in your mind about who you are. And you go give it a different meaning. Wow. Okay. I was 6 years old and the person was 5 years old. I'm holding my value now based on something that happened when I was a kid, or even a parent-adult situation. I mean, parents aren't the greatest in the world. Teachers aren't the greatest in the world. And we're supposed to take direction from them and be great people, right? I mean, come on. The point is, we've said it all through the show. It's okay to be fucked up. We're all fucked up. And don't be afraid to admit it. I'm not afraid to admit it. Hey, I struggle most days, some days, but I know when I get behind the microphone, I know when I'm talking to people, that's what fires me up about being here in this world, is that I know I can take all the pain and all the situations of the people that I interview and I talk to and I coach and I speak to. And in this situation with you guys commenting here, I can take all that and digest it and be able to give it back to help other people. So again, what is your why? Know what your why is. What's your legacy? What is it that you're going to leave behind in this world? What is it? What do you want to be remembered for? Like Jacque was saying, go out and make a difference. Go do something. People ask me all the time, like, Chris, what can I do? I'm like, I walk my dog every single day and I say hi to every single person I come across. If a bike rider's biking now, I even wave to them now. I'm like, hi, have a great day. And I look like this. I look like I'm a badass with walking a Doberman. And I'm just saying hi to everybody. I let people now cut in front of me if they're getting into the store, if they're trying to get on the freeway. I don't even care anymore. It's like, yeah, if you need to get there faster, get there faster. If it makes you a little bit happier and doesn't make you cranky, then good. We can do all of these things. You can go next door to your neighbor and say, how are you doing? If you ever need anything, here's my number. We're a community. Let's act like one. And that's something I even need to do. All right. So we've talked about a lot of things tonight. My passion and my hope and my sincerity with delivering this message, and I know Scott would agree, so we're going to have him back on. Obviously, he's going to be back on to continue this discussion, is that you take this information and you do something with it. Go share this. Go have a conversation with somebody. Go talk to somebody. Go talk to your 13-year-old son and say, hey, listen, I really want to understand how this is impacting you. And then just shut up and listen, and don't judge, and don't give them any feedback. Just, wow, it must be a lot to be dealing with this right now. Normally, you'd want to be with your friends. Go talk to people and listen. Don't have selective hearing disorder and go, oh, okay, I think this is what I understood you say because I was thinking about the other things that are important in my life. Actively listen. And then when somebody says something, say, hey, you know what, Shane, I really appreciate you sharing that the fact that you deal with this on an ongoing basis. You know, it really brings light to the fact that, you know, you look successful and everything else, but we're all struggling, right? You paraphrase something back to somebody, and that's the first connection part that's going to make them feel validated, like somebody fucking cares. How many times does somebody really listen to you? Right? It starts there. Go talk to somebody and listen. Really listen. Don't judge. Don't give advice. Like I'm the worst at that. I just want to give advice right away. Just go and listen and hear them and talk to them and feel with them, hug with them, cry with them, and say, hey, listen, you know, can I be of support to you? You know, maybe we can find a couple of places that might be able to help you with this, right? Instead of saying, oh, how are you doing? Oh, good. Okay, great. The kids are good. Okay, great. All right. I could keep going. I could keep going. Anyways, I love you guys. Friday Night Live. Please share this out. We're here every Friday night, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And please take care of yourselves and love yourselves. And we'll see you next time. All right.